When I first started this channel, a video I never imagined I would ever have to make is a bad seasons video on Jimmie Johnson. I mean, just saying Jimmie Johnson and bad seasons in the same sentence is so odd, considering that Jimmie Johnson has been the gold standard when it comes to performance in the Cup Series since he entered the league in 2002. But this video makes perfect sense if you watch Jimmie Johnson in 2018. Last season was by far Jimmie Johnson's worst season in his entire Cup Series career. So let's get into it. Just 2 years ago, Johnson would join an exclusive club in the NASCAR Cup Series as he would win his 7th career Cup Series title, joining him with the likes of Richard Petty and Dale Sr. He would score 5 wins, 11 top 5s, 16 top 10s, and an average finish of 14th. 2017 had its moments, but for the most part, it was still considered a good season. His 2017 stats are this: 3 wins, 4 top 5s, 11 top 10s, and an average finish of 16.8 and would finish 10th in the standings. Like I said earlier, 2017 had some pretty bad moments for Jimmie Johnson and his 48 Lows team. He would also have a staggering 7 DNFs that season. That is something you do not expect ever from the 48 car. You could look back and say we were getting a sneak preview of what was to come the following year. So heading into the 2018 season, Jimmie Johnson and his team were expected to have a typical Jimmie Johnson season, win a few races here and there, and maybe compete for the Cup Series title. All I have to say is, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I think.
Oh, Johnson gets turned!
Not again!
Kyle Busch into Larson into Johnson. And for what, the 7th year in a row, Jimmie Johnson will crash out of the clash. See what happens here.
Jimmie drops out of line after they come through the trial, but he realizes he has a problem. It looked like the car got pretty loose right there. As he moves down, I believe he blows a left rear tire, sends him in Eric Almirola. Daniel Suarez has to avoid him, spins to the infield. I think other than some tires, Daniel might be okay. Heavy damage to the 48 of Jimmie Johnson. He gets a little loose right there. He checks up. Oh, you can hear it pop.
I heard that
Just heard it pop.
He felt it. He felt it. Backed off, got down low, but when it popped, it just went left.
No, I don't know if you know, he ran something over.
Look at this! Oh, Stenhouse! He saved it!
No, Jones is not going to be able to save it.
Jones did not.
Come on.
Jones, his teammate Suarez, William Byron, Jimmie Johnson are all in it along with Ty Dillon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trevor Bayne
goodness.
was able to weave his way through there.
Caution.
Inside, one coming back on top.
Absolutely nothing you can do in that situation.
He was running 19th, 1 lap down.
I see a lot of debris flying off the car from the tires.
Now that looks like it might have been a tire. He was really, really loose. I could see him fighting the car as we had him in some shots earlier, but the way that snapped around.
Could be the right rear.
I mean, the right rear's certainly down now because of that slide locking up the tires. Boy, that's odd to see it snap around that quick for a 7-time champion in Jimmie Johnson.
Well, we listened in.
Right front came apart, just ripped the right front off the car.
Oh, he checks up a lot. Oh, that gets 11 loose underneath the 10 in Almirola.
Oh boy, the 2 got a ton of damage. So did 48. Wow, the 48 plowed in that inside wall. There's a 6. That took out a bunch of cars, guys.
So it's Denny Hamlin that goes sideways in front of half the field.
So you see the 24 starts coming up. Look, it just seems like the air changed and allowed that 48 to just get loose.
Yeah, the 48 and the 24. I think the 24 may have gotten on the brakes and that caused his car to get loose. But I don't know what happened to Johnson. That thing just turned sideways.
Oh, the 11 goes to the inside. They make contact.
Yep.
Very similar to what we saw in the All-Star race. I think it was what, the 17, the 78. That turns Jimmie Johnson around. Boy, the 20 was just trying to get slowed down. Was on the rear bumper of Logano in the 22, and that's what turned him around.
That's amazing.
Let's watch from Denny Hamlin.
So one outside from behind, one outside. Behind the Menard car, if you want it, still outside.
Jimmie making that late exit down into the corner.
This time the caution came out just before Martin Truex Jr. got to the finish line. And we see Jimmie Johnson climbing out of the window.
But he's shoving and he just turns, pushing so hard. And Clint was moving around on the front bumper. And it hooked him into the wall.
I've lost oil pressure. Engine's not running. On pit road. Are we done? Yes, sir, we're done.
Look at this, 3 wide, 4 wide. Alex Bowman up against the wall. You can see there. Oh, man, that's a big contact with a 41 car. You have to wonder if the 41 hadn't shown a problem yet, but he may have one coming. Jimmie Johnson in the side of Clint Boyer. Yeah, I'm sorry, 48's only 7 points to the good, so he may not afford it, but
look, he's there. What a great corner.
Here they come through the final banked curve at Charlotte Roval. Now he goes to the inside. Here comes Jimmie Johnson.
Oh!
Locks the brakes up.
Oh, he's
and he's going to slide. He slides through the middle. Truex gets tagged. Now it'll be a fight for the finish line. Ryan Blaney in the 12 will win.
He stopped. He came to a full stop to make sure that he was good with NASCAR. Where's he going to finish?
48-78.
This is after the race.
Look at that. That was after the checkered flag had been out.
So we're just bringing that news to Jimmie now. With that finish, Jimmie, you are officially out. You will not move on to the next round. Describe for us coming to 15, knowing that there was one shot for the win.
Yeah, I was more worried about the win than anything else. And I hate that I started wheel hopping and took Martin and I out. That's the last thing that I wanted to do. And I put pressure on him into turn 3. He washed up. And I thought that I was going to be in the prime braking zone going into that final turn and have a shot at it. And when I went to the brakes, it started locking the rears and wheel hopping. And I didn't think I hit him at first. I knew I was spinning, obviously, but I guess I collected him in my spin. And certainly regret doing that. And then ultimately, we were in a transfer position and didn't get it. So just going for the win. These wins are so important. And, the veteran could have taken the safe route and didn't, and unfortunately, took us out of the playoffs and took out the 78.
Big news for Jimmie Johnson. The 11-time Dover winner comes down pit road with the issue with the right front. The tire, I thought, was loose. You're going to see how much the wheel moves around, but under closer inspection, it's not just the wheel. It's the center hub, the studs, and everything. So definitely some sort of major suspension failure on the 48 under pace laps.
Well, I've just got back here. I got a little update from the team, and what they told me is that Jimmie said, hey guys, I just killed the splitter, and I think something broke on the right front. So that immediately happened when they got it back here. They replaced the splitter, or trying to replace the splitter, actively working. Jimmie is still strapped inside the 48, so they're doing what they can to get him back out. But you've got to imagine the disappointment for this team at a place they thought they could show up and win. And now Jimmie's starting from the garage.
Well, Kelly, thanks for the update. And I would imagine the splitter is a result of the failure, right? Something in that right front suspension obviously broke for that 48 car to fall down on the racetrack. See Jimmie Johnson rejoining the race right here. He'll be 10 laps down, I believe. He missed the first 10 laps of the race. So, man, talk about a bad year. Winless. Winless has never happened in his career, and currently winless. I really looked at this as a race that I thought he could do it, right? I just thought after last week and that big move to try to win, so much talk about that, Jeff, I thought this was going to be the race he was going to bounce back.
You mentioned what an amazing job of staying out of getting back on the racing line.
You see his car start to go up the racetrack. He just couldn't turn it because he was too loose and had to turn it to stay off the 10 of Eric Almirola and just spun out. Something we have seen with this 48 team before, where the car gets so loose and just can't hang on to it.
So why is that tri-oval so tricky? That bottom lane is flatter than the rest of the tri-oval.
Pretty hard contact.
And that's a position for Boyer.
Yeah, it could be a position for Boyer, but it may be a position for everyone else also, so it may not matter. Just underneath Eric Jones, wheel hopping. Now he's up the racetrack and kind of along for the ride. Luckily, Eric Jones didn't get damaged.
Yeah, down into turn 3. Really early. Look, Jimmie's already spinning out right there. I mean, this is just not like the way these cars are supposed to drive. I mean, these drivers don't deal with these kind of conditions anywhere else at any other racetrack where they're spinning out before they ever get to the corner. Look at the wheels, though. Look how hard he's got it turned to the left. Jimmie trying to keep it out of the fence, just cranked full left, full lock to the left to save that car from going into the fence. William Byron just unfortunate for him to be in that position. Lucky did he get any more damage than that in that situation, but
those front tires
Jimmie
are
with those
amazing.
tires are hilarious. And then when it hooks up, he has the presence of mind to steer it out of that.
Both the championship hopes and that journey will end at this race.
You can see right there, Denny's turned to the right, chasing the back of the car up the racetrack into the 41.
I want to know what the 78 Martin Truex Jr. is thinking right about here.
Yeah, watch how hard he has to hit the brakes to avoid all this.
We were just talking about that off air a little bit. Like, what do you do as a crew chief? Like, I'm Martin Truex Jr., I'm like, I got to stop. Maybe it's time to get away from all this.
Ugh. So his 2018 stats are this: 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 11 top 10s, an average finish of 16.7, and had 4 DNFs while finishing 14th in the standings. With both Chad Knaus and Lowe's leaving after the 2018 season, it is truly the end of an era. Hopefully in 2019, I'll be able to make a good seasons or a championship seasons video on Jimmie Johnson. Let's hope for the best. And once again, that'll do it for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.